commentary that works both as a tutorial and as relaxing meditation.
I've had a really cool idea for a while. Someone in the chat just reminded me of this. I thought it would be a really interesting idea if I did like some dog shitty Damien Hirst, Jackson Pollock style art under a pseudonym.
These paintings make my corneas hurt. I'm ashamed that this
Damien
artist
Hirst.
lived in my former hometown. The George
This is Damien
W.
Hirst.
Bush of art. Worthless. They make me want to puke. They are false works. They are awful. Simply awful. It belongs in the trash. It is stupid art for stupid people. The worst paintings I've ever seen, and they will haunt me for the next half an hour. Those are all real quotes from comments, reviews, and articles concerning one artist and his work. Gee, these paintings must be pretty bad then,
It's Damien Hirst,
what
isn't
are they,
it?
pictures of babies eating each other alive? The scatological scribbles of a lunatic? No. These are the kinds of paintings those quotes are referring to. Now, if you're like me, you might be a bit confused. Why
actually,
are these seemingly unremarkable paintings of cottages one would usually see on the covers of jigsaw puzzles so viciously hated by some people? In fact, not just hated, but accused of being dishonest, damaging to art and culture itself. These are works by the late artist Thomas Kinkade.
God damn it.
You could make a very good case that Thomas Kinkade was the most successful artist in the 21st century so far. His works can be seen on mugs, t-shirts, calendars, and probably somewhere in your grandmother's living room. Thomas Kinkade's own company claims his work can be seen in 1 out of every 20 American homes. And at the height of his career, his company generated $130 million in sales in 1 year. Now, I could totally see how someone could dislike his work. Perhaps they find it too excessive in its sentimentality, or is garish, or perhaps they find it simply generic. But to capital H, hate it. I admit I was initially a bit confused by that. In fact, people hate the art and the man so much that in articles about the man's death, you can find such comments as these. I hate Thomas Kinkade with every fiber of my being. Our long
Channel that energy to someone that deserves it, like Damien Hirst.
With liking Kinkade's paintings, but, in my opinion, there is something wrong with people that like his paintings. Yeah, that's basically the same thing. The thing is that the people that buy this crap are ignorant morons from the southeast and midwest of the US. You know, the people responsible for electing George Bush.
Jesus
their
Christ.
opinions on art are about as valid as a Gibbons opinion on quantum physics. Sir or madam, I know this is the internet, but if you could kindly remove your head from your own rectum, I think you'd be doing yourself a favor. What could have possibly prompted such venom from a few cottage paintings? What you'll find is that the reason for this hatred may have less to do with the art itself, and more to do with matters of taste, the art world, and even as you saw in the last comment, politics. Today we'll learn about the many reasons to hate.
Well, this sounds interesting.
Kinkade.
I don't know why more people don't hate people like Damien Hirst and Jackson Pollock. Their work is the most awful dog shit ever.
Thomas Kinkade was born into relative poverty in 1985 in California. He attended the University of California, Berkeley, and Art Center College of Design in Pasadena. Before college, he was known for having a natural talent for drawing, and was mentored by Glenn Wessels, a former college professor of art who lived just a few hundred feet from his own home. Wessels would eventually encourage him to transfer to the College of Design in Pasadena. Before his business adventures, Kinkade worked in background painting for an animated film.
As far as the actual technique goes, for the most part we used a simple technical procedure. We'd just start out with a big wide brush and lay the thing in. Very scrubby at first, and then as we went, we'd gradually tighten the strokes.
Painting always impresses me, because it's so fucking hard.
Because there was a number of paintings to be done, over 1,000 for the film.
And traveled by freight train across the country sketching with James Gurney. When
I've got to pee. I can't hold it any longer. Wow, this is a good frame to stop it on. That's a very wholesome picture of old Thomas Kinkade. Give me 1 second, I'll be right back. I'm back. Is it Tier 1 Disaster the Musical?
he reportedly experienced a Christian reawakening. These newfound values seeped their way into his art, which now focused on optimism, natural beauty, and inspirational settings. Kincaid was able to amass such profits from building up hundreds of Thomas Kincaid's signature galleries, which sprung up all over the country at their height and eventually spread internationally. These signature galleries sold high-quality digital reproductions, where one could have the option of having a specially trained assistant highlight the canvas-textured reproduction one was about to purchase. This highlighting consisted of the assistant adding small dots of color to give it detail and texture that was unique to that painting.
That's kind of a cool idea.
Were also illuminated and decorated in a way totally opposite to the sterile white environments usually seen in other galleries, creating a cozy and homely atmosphere. Kincaid excelled at building his brand throughout every aspect of the purchase. Thomas Kincaid was in the money-making business. All his art appealed to the masses, and strayed away from any negative or even ambiguous themes. He had successfully commercialized his art to an extreme extent, and it worked. There are people who were passionate about these paintings. Clearly, many are willing to pay for reproductions, and many collect them religiously. The people who buy them are glad to have them. They find comfort in them. Since 1994, Thomas Kincaid's company, Media Arts Group, has traded on the NASDAQ and then on the New York Stock Exchange, making Kincaid the only artist to be a small-cap equity issue. It is estimated his business brought in $100 million in revenue annually.
Art is always subjective. Yeah, until it comes to Damien Hirst or Jackson Pollock, then it is objectively dog shit.
All this hatred as just jealousy of his spectacular success, and I'm sure that's a reason for some. For others, it certainly goes deeper than that. When you go searching for what people think of his work, you'll find a lot of negative reviews that use the word kitsch. This word appears everywhere. Kitsch, kitsch, king of kitsch. But what is kitsch? My first vague understanding of the word was something that's popular but also poor quality. The Oxford Art Dictionary attempts to define it as objects or design considered to be in poor taste because of excessive garishness or sentimentality, but that might be too narrow. According to cultural critic and philosopher Walter Benjamin, kitsch is, unlike art, a utilitarian object lacking all critical distance between object and observer.
God, these people are so fucking pretentious, it hurts. It hurts.
Effort. According to Sir Roger Scruton, kitsch is fake art, expressing fake emotions, whose purpose is to deceive the consumer into thinking he feels something deep and serious.
Yes, unlike Jackson Pollock's work that really challenges the consumer to think about it. Just random fucking paint drippings. What was this guy's name? I want to look up what he likes.
Without intellectual effort. According to Sir Roger Scruton.
Roger Scruton. More like Roger Scrotum, am I right? Let's see. Roger Scruton. Roger Scruton on being right from the intelligence squad. Oh my god. Oh my fucking god.
The right is what its members make it, and they make it in a different way. What I was trying to say was that we don't actually make it through these movements like momentum and so on. We're not the fist-clenching type. We do
is he talking about politics?
Through civil association, through our belief in and love for the country that is ours, and our desire to protect.
I misunderstood the title. I thought it was like a Rick and Morty kind of thing, like, you're wrong if you don't like Rick and Morty. I want to see what kind of art he liked. Can't really find anything about it. There's a couple articles where he talks about art he doesn't like, but that's not super helpful. Pretty much any art that looks like it takes talent, people don't like in the art industry. I guarantee you Damien Hirst, Jackson Pollock, all of like your most famous artists, like more modern artists, I guess Jackson Pollock doesn't fit into that. I guarantee they couldn't draw a single person's face. They couldn't paint a single thing that looks like anything. It's just abstract dog shit that even a child could make. Thanks to Prime Bronson. Yeah, I can't find anything on, like, Roger Scruton approved art. Thanks, the resub stone. Yeah, I remember Bob Ross was shit upon by most, like, fart-sniffing artists back in the day. I do remember that. Again, anything that looks like it has any form or shape to it, or anything that looks like it took time and effort, is very frowned upon in the community.
Kitsch is fake art, expressing fake emotions, whose purpose is to deceive the consumer into thinking he feels something deep and serious. I think it's quite a claim to say something expresses fake emotions, but it might give a better idea of what kitsch is. Even famous, well-established contemporary artists have been accused of using kitsch. My general understanding is art that is not challenging, not complex. But ultimately, the word is hard to define. Its vagueness allows it to be applied to a wide range of stuff, and for that reason I find it inadequate to fully describe why people...
Welcome! Thank you for the raid,
James. Articles and reviews will also frequently
hope you had a great stream.
Like garish,
and hope you like dog shit art.
And nauseatingly cheerful. All understandable reasons for disliking something, but even so, how does that translate from just mediocre art to art being a national nightmare? Thomas Kinkade has been...
He looks like such a wholesome guy.
Norman Rockwell, mainly because of his appeal to American values and usually cheerful scenes. Some have even put both their work into the same dreaded category of kitsch. But I think a more fitting comparison is Bob Ross.
The boy wonder!
That appealed to large mainstream audiences. Both mostly consisted of landscapes without people, and both lives were even cut short at around the same age. Now, I love Bob Ross. I mean, who doesn't? But I don't really call his work challenging. In fact, one can make the case that it is kitsch. No, the significance of Bob Ross is not really his art, but the hundreds of PBS videos he made painting that art. Bob Ross was able to reach millions of people and inspire them to pursue oil painting through easy-to-follow alla prima techniques and the soothing, earnest commentary that works both as a tutorial and as relaxing meditation.
I've had a really cool idea for a while. Someone in the chat just reminded me of this. I thought it would be a really interesting idea if I did like some dog shitty Damien Hirst, Jackson Pollock style art under a pseudonym, and then just had like a really wealthy person I know buy it for an absurd amount, and I just give the money back, obviously, but making headlines just to get that name out there and see if I could get some real, genuine, stupid, rich assholes to buy my work. So I was wondering, it's something I've been thinking about doing, but I need to find who would do it. I was gonna try and ask Gronk about it, but I just feel like he really wouldn't. I don't think he'd want to. But I really think it's a good idea, because most of these big artists like Damien Hirst are big because they know rich people that buy the fucking art from them for money laundering purposes. And I feel like you can replicate that if you just know someone with a lot of money. Isn't that illegal? Yep. But that's how all big modern artists start. Look up Damien Hirst's history. He doesn't even make the art himself anymore. He has people paint the polka dots for him. But he sells it as his to people he already knows. I was going to look it up, but I don't feel like going through Damien Hirst's fucking big biography anymore. Thanks to the resub, AJ.
Extremely valuable. Both Thomas Kinkade and Bob Ross sought to comfort their audiences through painting. However, when it came to them as people, Thomas Kinkade was no Bob Ross. Thomas Kinkade was very vain. He branded himself as Thomas Kinkade, the painter of light.
Wouldn't saying this out loud fuck you in the future? No, you'd never know it's me. I'd have a cool pseudonym.
Not something I would consider a remarkable use of
Bramian
light.
Burst.
These guys are painters of light, not Thomas Kinkade. He's also said things like, "God is my art agent," and "We have a grassroots movement emerging in my art and in the country, and there's 10 million people out there that if I give the word, will go out and picket any museum I want them to." In one case, he bet journalist Susan Orlean $1 million that a major museum would hold a Thomas Kinkade retrospective in his lifetime.
Aww.
Thomas Kinkade was also not shy to talk about his Christian beliefs and conservative family values. The prominent light so often seen in his paintings, he said, represented the light of God penetrating the darkness. as well as Jesus' light of the world. He quite openly resented the elitist art world,
professor.
insisting that his work was uplifting and a positive influence on the world, while modern art was nihilistic and ugly. In one interview, he said, "The number one quote critics give me is, 'Tom, your work is irrelevant.'" Now that's a fascinating comment. Yes, irrelevant to the little subculture, this microculture of modern art. But here's the point. My art is relevant because it's relevant to 10 million people. That makes me the most relevant artist in this culture, not the least, because I'm relevant to real people. Thomas Kinkade,
he doesn't seem super likable.
Frequently engaged in shady business practices, such as defrauding authorized Kinkade dealers and exploiting their Christianity to get them into the Kinkade business by dressing it up as a religious opportunity, all the while getting them to take on unreasonable amounts of Kinkade's work at fixed prices. Many gallery owners claimed Kinkade had ruined them financially in the name of God. Kinkade dismissed these accusations while also saying
it is what God would want, I think.
Kinkade was also an alcoholic, and as his businesses began to decline, he engaged more frequently in drunken episodes where he was prone to cursing, heckling performers, one accusation of groping, urinating on a Winnie the Pooh statue while yelling, "This one's for you, Walt," which I don't even think that one's bad, that's hilarious.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Driving, which is less hilarious.
He's even wearing a Jackson Pollock shirt.
On April 6, 2012, he was killed by an accidental overdose of Valium and alcohol.
Wow.
Even after his death, a legal battle over his estate between his estranged wife and girlfriend took place, all prompted from these drunken, barely comprehensible wills. Eventually, both parties settled out of court. These events are made even more ironic just by going onto YouTube and watching some of the painting demonstration videos he made before his death. The ones where he actually explains his techniques are fine and decently informative, but on others, the man can't do 2 minutes of actual painting without cutting it off and giving a speech about how God inspired him and how we should all be looking toward the light or something. Religious beliefs aside, are you trying to give an informative peek into your process, or are you just going to preach to the audience? Considering how interested he was in maintaining his positive image and Christian values, my guess is the latter. If you're still wondering how people could hate a Thomas Kinkade artwork for political reasons, well, it's because the artist himself politicized them. He fueled the rift between the art world and people outside of it. And to be fair, it seems some of the art world fueled this conflict as well. And oh boy, does Thomas Kinkade's opposition get political. That's how you can get articles like Thomas Kinkade, the George W. Bush of art. Their reasoning? Kinkade, like Bush, peddled a falsely simplified image of the world, and that the same bad taste that made people invest in fraudulent galleries also elected George Bush and sent their children off to die in the war. There's even another article titled,
"Bro, it's a jigsaw puzzle painting.
Painter than Thomas Kinkade," which argues
man's looking for a fucking intricate view of the world to challenge his thought process with a fucking jigsaw puzzle.
Because they are more inventive and emotionally resonant. As Elisa Bennett quite bitterly explains in her article, A Dream from Christmas Cottage, though Kinkade's paintings often pander to evangelical Christianity, which is probably the most legitimate reason to hate them, the primary reason that the art world has erected aesthetic and conceptual barriers around him is one that echoes Clement Greenberg's 80-year-old essay on the avant-garde and kitsch. We think it's stupid art for stupid people.
How can you, how do you read this and not just get insulted? Like, reading pretentious garbage like this is so upsetting to me. Like, you can say the same thing without looking like a douchebag. And then, of course, this. We think it's stupid art for stupid people, yet people paying millions for Jackson Pollock's absolute trash. I always go back to Jackson Pollock and Damien Hirst, but there's millions of others.
80-year-old essay on the avant-garde and kitsch. We think it's stupid art for stupid people. That is, those who are too intellectually flabby to spot the difference between the real and a charlatan's flattened approximation of it. Yes, to some, hating a Thomas Kinkade painting has political dimensions to it. But I think a slightly more charitable explanation that is less political and more merit-based comes from the art critic Jerry Saltz. The reason the art world doesn't love Kinkade isn't that it hates love, life, goodness, or God. We may be silly or soulless or whatever. but we don't automatically hate things with faith and love or that other people love. The reason the art world doesn't
Drake
respond to
album,
Kincaid
he did crush it.
None,
it looked
not
good.
one of his ideas about subject matter, surface, color, composition, touch, scale, form, or skill is remotely original. This might be the most succinct and clear explanation of an aspect of why some people hate his art. It was something I suspected from the beginning, but it was just never actually written down clearly until this man finally gave a beautifully specific reason. Now I agree, in fact, that they are unoriginal in those aspects. But, and I know this is like a cardinal sin according to art critics, I don't hate Kincaid's art. There are some paintings I like. Some I wouldn't mind having a print of. Quite a few I find excessive, and quite a few I find downright horrendous. But I don't hate everything he has ever painted. People often insult Kincaid's work by calling them greeting card illustrations. Well, greeting cards need illustrations, don't they? Or else they would just be white pieces of folded paper with text.
Checkmate.
Hate them or love them, his paintings fit that purpose. You aren't going to find academic history paintings or Basquiat art on get well soon cards. That would be tonally incongruous. But a cozy cottage? If the man had just accepted that his art wasn't going to be seen in high-class museums, maybe the kind of vicious hatred for his art from the art world still seen today.
I am curious, what gets seen in high-class museums now? I'm pretty sure all of it is that super trash thing like a banana taped to a wall or like Banksy's balloon picture, stuff like that. Let me see. What is like the most modern art exhibition that just happened? There's got to be something for 2021. Let's see, exhibit. Here we go. Top art exhibitions of 2021. Let me see what I see. Okay, I'll just allow some cookies. Alright, let's go through it. This is a recent one. That looks about right. Oh my fucking god. Oh, this isn't all just like paintings and stuff. I was looking for like paintings. This looks cool. What is this? A full Van Gogh thing? Oh, this. Oh! This. Okay. I'm looking at the wrong stuff. This is just art exhibits going on in 2021. I wanted to see art on display at an exhibit. Sorry, I see what's going on now. That was confusing. I don't know what to look for then. Maybe this. Yeah, the Van Gogh thing seems cool. That did look cool. Oh yeah, I'll try that. Maybe just like a museum or something. Modern Art Museum of Fort Worth. Oh, here we go. They even have a tab for the exhibitions, I think. And then there's different categories. I guess this. No, this is booking an appointment. Jesus Christ. Someone just tell me something. Surely someone knows the name of like some kind of art museum that I can look at what the fuck gets displayed there in like 2021. Like an art tour or something. MoMA. Man, you fucking assholes just Googled Modern Art Museum, didn't you? And the first one that comes up is MoMA.org. This is like a database of just a bunch of different ones. I'm looking for like an actual exhibition that went on with a bunch of art displayed in it or sold in it. You going to bed? Alright, come say goodnight in just a sec. San Francisco MoMA? Okay, let's try that. Jesus. Okay, this seems easy to navigate, I think. Nope, this is booking an appointment again. This is so hard. Well, I mean, even on just their homepage, like, their art collection here is kind of ass. Looks like these kids did this. Looks like they vandalized an art piece, but this is apparently the piece that's on display. Like, this is the cool art, I guess. This is just a projector and some concert. That is thought-provoking. I don't know what this is, like a used hand towel or something? Like they dumped some kind of staining liquid on it? Yeah, it's so hard to like actually find one of these goddamn art museums that just display some of the art. Thanks to the resub Harry Boy. Contemporary Art Daily. This is a website though. Okay, this is pretty fucking goofy. This isn't really what I was looking for. Oh my god, this is pretty goofy though. Okay, here. It's pretty cool. Very nice. That did come out very good. Wowee. Wow. They're doing a good job here. Ah. Sewing as the world ends. Jesus Christ. Thanks to the 5 gift subs, Harry Boy. I appreciate that. Yeah, I want to visit an art museum, to be honest. Whoa. I wish that I had sailed the darkened seas. You gotta really stop and digest this one, actually. There's a lot going on here. It's everything that it's not saying. And that's what makes it so powerful. Damn. You can really feel the emotion in each stroke of the crayon. The colored charcoal against the canvas. Wow. I didn't ask your opinion. Flags for countries that don't exist, but bodies that do. Okay. Whoa. Tenderness. It's Pickle Rick caught in between a couple kissing, I guess. Wow. These are deep. Damn. Like, you can feel the tenderness. Yeah, this pretty much sums up most art exhibits, I imagine. Here's some canvases that there's like some scribbles on it somewhere in there. I don't know, just hanging up. Put like 50 grand on it. Someone's gonna buy it. Wow, this looks fun. That does look good. Fuck, it really makes you think. This is like when Squidward went to that place to be all alone. But this is like much more pretentious and like insulting. Damn. This shit really does speak to the soul. Exit tier 1 ping juice in the bits kill command. This is just a bunch of boxes. Merlin, you've outdone yourself here. And exquisite. Like, you have to ask yourself, what's in those boxes? Are we purchasing too much? It's a display of excess. And you see how the boxes aren't all lined up the same? There's a pattern to it. There's order in the chaos. Oh, it's beautiful. And then you also have to wonder who packed these boxes? Is it Amazon workers that are miserable and you can feel the hate? Is it someone like maybe a home business with a family that packed the... There's just so many things you have to ask yourself. This really is a challenging piece. Magnifique. Well done, Merlin. I don't know what I'm looking at. Is this part of it? Like this pubic hair here? Like glued to a picture? I don't know what that is. I don't know what I'm... Is this evidence in like a crime scene or something? I don't understand. It's a melting seal? Is that a video suggestion? In just a minute. I need to see those big T's. That sounds great. What the fuck? They drew the hands like I draw hands when playing Scribble. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. No sun. They actually just bought a shower curtain, a couple of them. You have to wonder, what's on the other side of the curtain? This one actually looks like there's some effort in there. Okay. There's something. This is weird, but at least it takes talent to make this. They're back-to-back, not awful pieces. It is weird, though. But at the very least, it's not an easy thing to do, like everything else. Like this. It's called Diana. It's just a fucking plant. Oh my god, they bought a potted plant from Walmart. And hung it in the art museum. Jesus fucking Christ. Diana, you clumsy slut. What are you doing? What are you doing here, huh? Get out of the art museum, huh? This is so fucking interesting to me. It's just an old gun that they came on, I guess. I don't know. Again, at least this takes some talent to make this, but it is very goofy. Ah, here we go. Speaking of talent, hey look, here's some empty pieces of paper. With some orange. Thanks for the resub, Danny. For an Eric Andre skit, they had a really obvious fake art setup that was meant to be destroyed and nobody even noticed. I think I remember that, vaguely. There's been a couple people that have done that. I don't remember who, but someone set up an art exhibit that was open to the public, and it was just nothing. It was just an empty white room, and that was the art. And people went in there and were taking pictures and losing their mind over it. Well, this was easy. He just took a picture outside of his window. He's got a nice house and he's flexing. This is so interesting to me. Holy shit. Okay, I'm gonna be scrolling for fucking hours if I keep going. We'll go back to the videos. Jesus Christ. Art, like modern art, is one of the most bafflingly outrageous things to me. And the thing is, I never see anyone defend it. I literally never see anybody online defend it that isn't also laundering money with art themselves. Like, it blows my fucking mind. Nowhere on the internet do I see anyone like, no, Charlie, actually, Damien Hirst's pieces are pretty thought-provoking. Those pills kind of changed my life when I saw it. Nobody says that. But like the pretentious, weird art world where everyone's super rich and dumb defends it. I'm gonna go say goodnight to Tiana real quick. I'll be right back. And thanks to the resub, super. I'm ready. Thanks for resub gold, Gregory. Woman buys invisible art. Oh, I already know that one. Thanks for the resub, Fluffy. Yeah, a guy sold an invisible statue recently for 18 grand.
Would be reduced. I think people can be overly critical of his art, but the man also fueled that conflict. What is Thomas Kincaid's legacy? Can a man be defined by his worst attributes? Was he really just a hack that
sounds
used religion
cool,
and
Orange.
falsely soothing images to swindle
Can't click
people out
links,
of their
tease.
money? Or
Just
was
tell
he
me what
a
it is.
flawed businessman of faith that produced art that may not be wholly original, but tried to instill some sort of simple beauty in an ugly world, who in moments of weakness succumbed to his worst tendencies? I can't really give you a good answer, but Kincaid will certainly not be the last of his kind. John McNaughton has been described as the Thomas Kincaid of Christian nationalism. His paintings are some of the most overtly political and excessive oil paintings out there. And like Kincaid, they are technically competent. I wouldn't say they are breathtakingly skillful, but he's probably a better painter than most people. Now, whether you agree or disagree politically, you have to admit that these paintings are a bit much. As in, they are extremely dramatic and far from subtle in their messages. But it's still art.
And the resub cape.
Not only is it art, it's fascinating art. It reveals the inner psyche of the artist and the zeitgeist of large swaths of the American population. These paintings aren't just some crude Photoshop that your grandpa shared on Facebook. These are huge canvases that required technical skill,
Tour of
planning,
Portland Art
and
Gallery.
time.
Ooh,
They
that
contain
sounds
all
nice.
the nuance of political cartoons, but upgraded to far more detailed, loosely realistic paintings. They are also, by definition, propaganda. In his work, Legacy of Hope, he combines dozens of figures from history together, comforting Donald Trump, I suppose. Many who would downright hate each other. And whether you agree with their messages or not, you have to admit they are ripe for meme material. And I don't know about you, but I think that has a value on its own. I also find this quote from McNaughton quite fascinating. I'm just honestly a little perplexed. I have no idea where buyers are hanging them. I just know I sell a ton. Sometimes I'm shocked at how many I sell. That one I told you about, Obama burning the Constitution. When I painted it, I worried, this thing is just hideous. Why would anybody hang that in their living room? It's not, he says, the kind of warm, happy work people typically want in their homes. This is where McNaughton and Kincaid diverge. McNaughton does not seem to be as interested in making money, and at least appears to have some self-awareness that his work will likely not be accepted as high art. However, McNaughton may be a sign of something greater. Maybe Kincaid will eventually win his museum bet, but not in his lifetime. In some bizarre twist of fate, museums of the future may display his work in the context of the beginning of a movement of populist conservative art. They may be seen as not aesthetically or emotionally significant, but historically significant. And who knows, maybe the tides of the art world will change and Thomas Kincaid's work will be seen in a new respectable light. I have my doubts, but art critics have been wrong before. Unlike others apparently, I cannot bring myself to feel joy in this man's death. The life of Thomas Kincaid is a life of tragedy. The man had talent, and dishonest or not, attempted to bring some sort of positivity into the world, but was stunted by greed and mass appeal. It seems he wanted to be loved by everyone, and when he wasn't, he turned hostile. He preached about family values and God, and yet endangered others. Was killed prematurely by the hand of his own addiction, and left his family fighting for his legacy because of his failed relationships. His brand was one of optimism, faith, and comfort. His paintings were serene, peaceful, perfect scenes without pain or suffering. Ironically, his life was anything but. Behind the artificiality of these idyllic scenes is the all-too-real reality of human folly.
That was a very nice video. That was